That's okay. We're going to be speaking English today, unless someone wants to say something in Japanese and we can translate it. So, Emily, are you switching over to live?
I am. It's taking a second.
We're going to go live on Facebook and YouTube. So as you know, people can join us when they see this happening on their platforms. This is the 45th Tuning Fork episode, and we're really excited. Our first broadcast with Margret out of Japan, and Margret is one of our board of directors and our performance partner, and working partner in our Institute for Cultural Activism. So we're very excited to see everybody here. And I think Margret, Emily, what is the protocol tonight? With for us, it's nighttime. You see, outside is dark.
Yeah.
So
and it's the evening before the elections in the
for
US.
For you, for us, it's 2 evenings away.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, tonight is Sunday, then tomorrow Monday night, and voting is okay. Everybody should vote, but I personally feel that consumerism is a very powerful voting process, So like if we organize mass agreements to behave in a way in relationship to consumerism, industry, and so on, because I don't know if you guys can say these things out loud, but here in America, we can say very boldly and honestly that corporations run politics. We're allowed to say that kind of thing. Okay. So, and by the way, if anybody wants to chat, for example, Hank is there in the background without a video, but Hank can also make a chat. And Emily, isn't it true? Everybody can share images, right?
Yes.
So although the basis of this tuning fork is Salon D'Amour with Margret, it's such an amazing occasion to interact with all of you amazing artists who are working together. Maybe Margret can introduce everybody or introduce the exhibition and the curatorial staff. And maybe, what do you think, Emily? Should Margret just sort of take the lead?
Thank you, everyone, for participating with us. We're really honored.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, John. I'm happy to introduce my friends here. It's been a really, really amazing few weeks here in Kanazawa. And I'm very happy that I have the chance to introduce some of the people here that have been very, very, that have actually initiated the larger project here. So with us today is Sae. She is one of the curators together with Akane Nakamori. And I understand that Sae later on will introduce a bit of this, the context of this, the larger context of this project.
Can I ask for one favor, Margret? And I apologize for interrupting you. I'm very good at interrupting, so please, thank you for your patience. But for people who are not familiar with the situation, you're in Japan. You're in a village or a city, a town that has largely been depopulated. Is that correct?
So this is quite a big...
Can you give us a little context at the beginning so people outside of this framework can understand what's going on what they're listening to on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you.
Okay. So we are in Kanazawa, which is actually quite a big city. Maybe Kagari or Sae or somebody can tell me how many people live in Kanazawa. Is it 500,000 about?
40万人です。
Oh,
Kagari, can you unmute yourself?
ミュートになってますよ。
Sorry.
Oh, good work.
I think there are about 10, 1、10、100、1000万、10万、100万。40万人ですか？ About 400,000 people?
Okay, about 500,000. Yeah. Yes, and so where this project is happening, it's called Kikugawa area, and in this area there is a lot of empty houses. And actually, Sae and Shu will be able to tell us much more about this.
シュウさん、じゃあ NPO のつづるについてちょっと話してもらってもいいですか？
はい。山本修です。よろしく。日本語で喋ります。
He's going to be speaking in Japanese.
My name is Shu. Nice to meet you. 僕たちの NPO は、今、菊川に、すごく空き家があるという説明あったんですけど、実は菊川自体は、この町の中心部にあって、すごくいいエリアなんですけど、でもなぜか空き家が多いっていうエリアになっています。で、
Kikugawa is an area which is located in the center of Kanazawa, but there are many vacant houses and yes, there are many vacant houses now.
で、なんでかっていうと、昔から町の、例えば道とか、区画割りとかが変わっていなくて、すごく狭い、何ですか、路地がたくさんあって、で、簡単に建物を壊せないっていう理由があったりとか、あとはずっとそこに住んでる人がたくさんいて、簡単に人に家を渡せないっていう事情があったりします。
The reason why there are so many vacant houses in this area is because it has been the city hasn't changed at all, and there are many narrow alleys, and it's not very easy to rebuild place like houses and buildings. And also there are people who have been living here for many, many years, and we can't really tell them to like leave the city or anything. So it's quite difficult to change the situation.
それで、僕たち、僕は建築家ですけど、アーティストとか、いろんな方たちで、NPO を作って、で、彼らの空き家をお借りして、維持をしながら使っていくっていう、活動を始めました。
And this nonprofit organization that is formed by Shu, who's an architect, and the other artists, they rent out the vacant houses and try to make use of it.
それが僕らの NPO ですね。はい。
And that's their nonprofit organization.
So is there some condition that you are relating to in the exhibition? Is there some condition that you are speaking to? Because the title of the exhibition is very evocative. The title is quite poetic and metaphoric. Tell us about that.
その PA2 のタイトルがとても詩的というか比喩的なものであるんですけれども、それに関してちょっと説明をしていただくことはできますか？
日本語でもいいですか？
頑張ってみます。
はい。
はい。
この展覧会で、キュレーション をした清水さえです。My name is Sae Shimizu. I'm curating this exhibition. And 展覧会ではこの空き家をこうなんていうかすごく仏教的な考え方なんですけど、こう何かが生まれてまた消えてまたそれが永遠に続くっていうアイディアからこれが展覧会のコンセプトになっていて、でこの空き家っていうものをこう枯れてしまって死んでしまった植物に例えて、でなぜならその日本の色の家屋は木造が多くて、なのでその、家っていうものを、植物、自然の素材がたくさん使われているので植物にまずこう見立てるっていうことにしました。
Well, so the concept of this exhibition is based on kind of like a Buddhism topic, and Buddhism is like reincarnation, like when something dies and then it's born again. And all the artists, they want to make the vacant houses to kind of like to think of them, the vacant houses, as plants. So it's kind of like reincarnation. Margaret, can you help me?
That sounds very clear.
Yeah, because many Japanese house use wood or some material from nature. So it's それで植物っていう風に見て、でこの消えつつ生まれつつっていうところっていうのをそのタイトルは日本の舞踏家の中島夏さんっていう方の講演から取っていて、だからその消えつつ生まれつつあるものっていう講演のタイトルから取っているんですけど、その菊川っていうエリアをある種なんか舞踏の舞台のような何か、非日常的なものにちょっと変身するというか、そういうイメージもあります。
So this title of the exhibition was originally taken from a stage performance by a Budo dancer, Nakajima Natsu, and so they wanted Kikugawa to become kind of like a stage, and for all the artists to perform.
そんな感じですね。
We talk about cultural activism, our institute. Our institute is like an art object itself. The name, the concept, and the activity. So it sounds very interesting in this context that when you say Buddhism and the idea of reincarnation and like recycling or the cycle of life in nature is quite transforming all the time, changing. Yes. Can you guys tell us about the works in the exhibition a little bit? Of course, Margaret's work, which Margaret's Salon d'Amour has been done maybe almost 25 or 30 times by now, maybe. But this is, I think, a very unusual Salon d'Amour from what Margret has described to us. So you guys can all decide how you want to introduce your works. And what do you think, Margret?
Yeah, I think so. Sato has not been talking yet, and actually, I wonder, Sato, if John speaks English or we speak English. Do you see the translation in the AI translator, and is it a good translation or not?
Wow, there's a translation.
佐藤さん、
Okay.
佐藤さん、
はい、はい、はい、佐藤です。
え
AI 翻訳機。
なんか翻訳機ってどうですか？
でも、まあ、なんとなく聞いてます。
He's getting the idea.
僕が喋る僕
Okay, okay.
どうな
聞こ
のかな？
え、オッケー、オッケー、オッケー。大体
Yeah.
OK です。はい。
Okay, so well, I think it's interesting actually to start with Sato introducing his work. In fact, I'm sitting here in a room in Ikuyama House with Sato's work, one of Sato's work in the background. And the other work is in the same building where Salon d'Amour takes place. So Sato, do you have some video that you took, right, of your installation across the street? Do you want to share that?
うんうん。OK。
動画撮ってこられたんですか？
ですね、あるんですけど、ちょっと待ってくださいね。どっちの作品ですか？このリーディング
お
の方。
向かいの方。お向かいの家の方から。
向かいの家の方。そう。リーディングの方、実は音声がなんか、あんまり良くなくて。今見えてますか？見えちゃいけないものも見えそう、すみません。日本語でいいですね。じゃあ、とりあえず一回流します。
This is the Candy record.
Yes,
Yeah,
he's going to show the video first.
Sound okay?
You can't hear the sound.
Yeah, no sound.
音声がないです。
音声がない。
うん。
音声がない。
Sound is there.
And there.
音声ない。どうしよう。
You have to click a button,
Oh,
click a box.
oh, maybe now.
音声聞こえてない？
ない。
音声入ってないですか？
We
ない。
can't hear the sound.
Oh,
Sometimes when you share a video, there's a button that you have to check
Drop down.
for video that's like
Audio.
between, it's like after you click the share button, then there's a checkbox.
共有ボタンの後に何かチェックボックスっていう音声のなんかありませんか？ファイルシェアする。
もう一回やろうかな。そしたら、すいません。
Yeah, I think you have to go to unshare first. You go out of the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then share again, and then you'll see the button. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh man, is he leaving the Zoom?
Just unshare. And
Is he leaving the meeting?
No, he's trying to get the sound for the video.
you know, that's very simple. He just has to go to unshare. So in the Zoom, under, you go to unshare.
一回コメントを読めて、もう一度ですね。
Now, is there a
今どういう状態だ？
見えてますか？画面が。
動画は見えてない。
ない
すいません。動画見えてます？
見えてます。
けど、音が
音が出た。
出た。OK。 いう感じなんですけど、説明して大丈夫ですかね。はい。この作品のタイトルは、キャラメルレコードというタイトルで、キャラメルキャンディー、べっこう飴でできた、で作ったレコードから、そこに記録されている画像を取り出していくプロセスを、見てもらうっていう作品です。
The title of this art is called Caramel Record, and the record is actually made out of real candy. And the record is inscribed with special signals, and converts digital images into analog sounds.
Wow.
で、この画像を、レコードに記録するっていう技術自体は、1970年に NASA が、打ち上げた無人探査機のボイジャーに搭載されたゴールデンレコード、に使われている技術に基づいています。
The technique of inscribing the spatial signal to convert to the analog sound was he got the idea from the golden record that was on board the unnamed spacecraft Voyager in 1977.
で、ここでは、いくつかの対比が使われていて、そのボイジャーのゴールデンレコードっていうのは、だいたい10億年の保存期間があるって言われているんですが、ここでは飴っていう、非常に変質しやすい素材を使っていて、溶けていってしまう。っていうことと、あとはそういう社会的なプロジェクトに対して、ここでは非常にパーソナルな出来事を扱っていて、ここの画像に出てくる写真っていうのは、ちょっとノイジーで見えにくいんですけど、実は、生山家の亡くなったご主人が、もともと写真家で、その方が撮りためたいろんな古写真から、それをピックアップして、このレコードに記録しています。すみません、ちょっと長くなっちゃった。
So he wanted to show the contrast between how the caramel record is recorded on candy that will eventually like melt away, but in contrast of the golden record, which was said that it was capable of preserving for about 1 billion years. And that's kind of like the contrast. Plus, he is using pictures that were actually taken by the owner of the Ikuyama house, which he's passed away, but he's using some kind of personal pictures, but it's very noisy and difficult to see. And he has all this, the theme is kind of like a contrast between that.
I just want to briefly say we're so excited, and also that our friend Ron Rocco, our board member, is also here with us, and he's one of the members of the Institute for Cultural Activism. So, hello, Ron. Maybe he left for a minute. There's Ron. Okay, Ron is in China. He lives in China, and also
今、中国にいるロンさんからちょっとお話が。
and
OK です。
Ron also went to MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So he's also very involved with technology and science issues and architecture as well. Okay, Margaret.
So I'm thank you so much, Sato, for introducing your work. Did you also want to talk about the other work that is here, or you want just to introduce one work? Maybe you can just even briefly, even if you don't have a video, briefly tell us what that work is about.
もう一本の、作品についても簡単にちょっと説明ができれば。ちょっと
わかりました。じゃあちょっと写真だけ用意します。
By the way, just seeing Hirotaka's work, I wonder, how can we get all of you guys here to New York?
皆様、ニューヨークにお知らせです。
めっちゃ行きたいです。
He'd love to go.
あ
Everybody.
の、うん。これが今、マーガレットさんの後ろにあるもう一つの作品なんですが、タイトルがレツリララウに草、なんですけど、えっと、この作品は、マーガレットさんの、作品と少し近いところもあるんですけど、お客さんに、朗読をしてもらうっていう、サウンドインスタレーションです。
This is the sound installation called Read Aloud Mikusa, and it's kind of similar to what Margaret is doing because it's kind of like a participant. There's our participants who he makes them read out Mikusa. It's a poem.
で、まあ、この写真に写ってるんですけど、まずモニターがあって、で、そこに、お客さんに読んでもらう詩が写ってます。で、その左右に、パラメトリックスピーカー、超指向性のスピーカーが置いてあって、で、真ん中にマイクがあります。で、お客さんはこの、座布団の上に座ってもらって、マイクに向かって写ってるテキストを順次読んでもらうっていう、そういう形式になってます。
In the middle, in the center, there's a monitor that has that shows the poem, and the visitors they sit on in front of the monitor, and there's a microphone, and there are speakers, and どんなスピーカーですか？すみません、ちょっとわからなかったんですけど。
超指向性のアンダイレクショナルスピーカー
Unidirectional speakers, and
耳元にも直接音が聞こえるみたいな。
直接音が聞こえる。
音がすごく直進してくる性質があって、耳元でまるで囁かれてるように。
It's like a special speaker that when you speak, you can actually hear the speaking. It's kind of like whispering into your ears. And so the participants read the poem.
で、お客さんは、自分の声で、この詩を読んでもらうんですが、そのなんだろう、一節一節、その読んだ声っていうのが、自分の声が、そのスピーカーから遅れて聞こえてくるっていう、そういう仕組みになっています。
So when the participants read the poem, just right after reading it, they can hear your own voice that's kind of like endlessly that goes on and on.
で、ここに写ってる詩っていうのは、そのタイトルにもあるミ草っていう詩集から取ってきてるものなんですが、その詩自体は金沢、が生まれの、文豪の一人である室生犀星、が戦中に書いた詩です。
The poem that is shown here is by a very famous writer who is originally from Kanazawa city, Sae Shimizu, and this was a poem that he wrote during the war.
で、当時の日本っていうのはすごく抑圧的で情報統制がすごくて、当時の詩人たちっていうのは、詩っていうのはすごくショート、短い言葉で情報を伝えることができるっていうんで、ある意味プロパガンダに使われてしまった側面っていうのがあります。
So in that time of Japan, there were many restrictions of saying anything actually, and as poems are written in short words and you can express in very short words, it was also used for propaganda. So
で、この詩自体も、当時のその戦争の雰囲気っていうのを、醸し出しているというか、存分に含んでいて、で、西星自身は、その戦後に自分のこれまでの詩を集めた詩集を作るときに、この詩自体を、消してしまった、自己検閲してしまったっていう、歴史があります。で、西星自身はそれを悔やんでいて、この詩自体をその心の濁りっていうふうに表現しています。
So, Sae Shimizu, when afterwards, when he was trying to collect all his poems all together, he actually deleted this certain poem because it was kind of like, how should I say? It was a very unblurry kind of part of him at that time.
で、ここでは、その再生自体のその詩に含まれている、そのなんだろう、自分が表現したいことと、外からの圧力で形作られた、そうなんだろうな、内と外の、せめぎ合いみたいなことと、あの、この朗読っていう行為を通して自分の声を、再帰的に取り入れるっていうこのシステム自体のその内と外の関係性みたいなところを重ね合わせています。で、これ非常に難しいですね。
すごく難しいです。すごく難しいですけど。So, let's see. もう一度言ってもらっていいですか？ごめんなさい。
ごめんなさい。ちょっと僕、まとまってないんですけど、私が注
ちゃんと
目して
お伝えしたいです。
So,
私が注目していることを、
Kagari,
Yes.
can we ask Hirotaka to recite a little bit of the poem?
Yes, sure. Just before that, he just wanted to say that this whole the poet was actually written under like restriction, and it was not really his own like true feeling about the war. And when the participants they read their voices, when they read the poem, it kind of comes back. And you know how your own voice sounds very different than you actually expect it to sound. And it's kind of like it's that it's really difficult to explain, but he wanted to express like the inside and the outside, the true and the false side. And 佐藤さん、その
はい。
詩をちょっと読んでいただきたいって言うんですけれども、私は訳せ
おー、
ないんですけ
訳す
ど。
ですね。ですね、どれがいいんだろう。ちょっと待ってくださいね。一番わかりやすいのが、
He's
一番
going
わか
to
りはい。
read a little bit, but it's going to be very difficult.
ちょっと待って、どこにあったっけな。
When you say that it was used for propaganda, was it used for positive propaganda for the war?
彼自身の詩がプロパガンダとして使われたのではなく、その時代でってことですよね。
うん、そうですね。その時代でっていうのもあるし、実際に多分、当時ってなんかその詩を、なんかいろんなラジオとかで非常に短い時間で流せるので、実際にそういうふうに国民に聞かせるみたいな、そういうのが行われてたっていうのは聞いてるんですけど、この詩自体が実際にあっていうの
それは
はちょっと、
いい方なのか悪い方なのかという、そのどっちの方でのプロパガンダとして使用されてたかっていうのは、
ごめんなさい。いい方、悪い方。
その、なんていうんですかね。えーっと、ど、どういう影響としてのプロパガンダだったのかと、こ
まあ、戦意なんていうんですか、高揚というか、的な、その、なんだろうな、愛国心を深めるっていうか、そういうことだと思うんですけど、これがいい方なのか悪い方なのどうなん
And
です
so
かね。
he said that it was it was actually kind of so the poems, the short poems, they were broadcast like really briefly on radio, and it's kind of used as a propaganda, but to kind of like praise the emperor and in a good way, I guess.
結構読みますか？
はい。
読みます
Should he read a part of the poem?
But just to have a crazy question. So the people reading the poem and they hear it coming back to them, they're praising the emperor.
Oh, no, 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 no. I'm sorry. No, 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 no. 私の伝え方が間違ってるんですかね。um, 声を聞くことに、自分が詩を読んで、声を聞き返すっていうことっていうのは、私が伝えてしまったのが間違ってるのかもしれないんですけれども、なんかそれは、天皇万歳じゃないですかっていう話になっちゃったんですけれども、違いますよね。
全然そういうことではないんですけど、
Sorry, it's not like that. I think I made the wrong interpretation.
Anyway, so when they hear themselves saying this poem, it's like the poem is coming from their mouth, like it's their poem.
その参加者が詩を読むことによって詩を聞き返したら自分の声でその詩を聞くっていうことで自分の詩になっているのかっていう。
僕の考えとしては、これなかなか日本語でも伝えにくいんですけど、いろんなその言葉との距離感みたいなことを測るっていうのが自分の中であって、で、まずこの、戦前に書かれた詩っていうのは、文体自体も、その書かれている言葉自体も、その背景とかも全部、今生きてる世代からしたらものすごい遠い距離感にあって、で、それをこう読み解いていく自分の声、声って、声にして外に出して、それをまたうちに拾い上げて、それを解釈していくプロセスみたいなことを通して、その言葉との距離感みたいなことを探る。これ非常に難しいですね。日本人のかな。
Even he said it's very difficult to explain even in Japanese, but he's trying to measure the distance between words. And in order to do this is like people who are actually reading the poem now, we don't really understand how people were feeling and what they were thinking at that time. Most of us, we haven't experienced war, so we don't really understand exactly what how the people, the poets are really thinking. So when we read the poem and we listen to it and it's like the feedback is coming back, he is trying to measure the distance between the words and the language. Is that making any sense?
Yes.
先ほどジョーさんがおっしゃったことに対して、なんだろう、天皇万歳的なことではないっていうふうに言ったんですけど、要するにその詩を解釈していく中で、今の人間にとってここに書かれているものっていうのはものすごい違和感なんですね。で、それを体感するというか、自分の声で聞くことで、その心というか、味わうっていうか、難しいですね。
This is difficult.
だから
So
その違和感みたいなことを吸収する。
ごめんなさい、聞こえなかったです。
ごめんなさい。その違和感みたいなことを自分の中で咀嚼するっていうか、深く考えるっていう。
So he wants the participants to actually experience or to feel how should I say, like this it's like discomfort. It's because we don't really understand the war, but we're reading about it and we're kind of listening to ourselves, our own voices, and it's discomforting. And he wants to have the participant to experience and to actually understand and try to understand what it's all about. Does that make sense?
It's very beautiful and
Yeah, complex.
complex, of course, and
とても複雑ですね。
it's very
あ
very interesting.
And visceral.
Oh yeah, visceral. You know what that means?
Sorry,
Visceral,
visceral.
like you feel it in your belly, body.
はい、なんかすごく体で感じるというか。
うん。そうですね。
Yeah.
いやいや。
So it's interesting the curating that these two works, like Margaret's work and this work, are together. It's really quite fascinating. You know, Hirotaka and Margaret's work together. Maybe a curator can tell us a little bit about other, projects.
So the first Sato's Hirotaka's caramel record is the viewer's first touching their artworks. So exhibition is normally start that works.
Uh-huh.
And there is another 9 artists after that. So 何を言えばいいんだっけ？そのマーガレットさんと佐藤さんの作品のつながり
もう
の、
他の、
うん
方の作品もいろいろ説明していただければ。
ちょっと多いですね。どんな感じで説明します
So she was just saying that there are 9 other artists that are in this project, and the first house is actually Hirotaka Sato's and Margaret's house, but there are many other. There are 5 other venues, the 5 other vacant houses, and all the 9 artists each have like a small room, and they do they have the project there.
この展覧会のその動線というか、まず生山家に来て、で、そこから5地域を回るみたいなのはもう説明されてるんですか？
まだですね。
ああ、それ最初説明した方がいいじゃないですか。
はい。サイさん、どうですか？
じゃあ、そうですね。今、女子さんがおっしゃったんですけど、日本語でいいか。生山家の写真、今、マーガレットがいる、その生山家が、お願いします。生山家が、その NPO の、その拠点になっていて、
So they're going to show you a picture of the main venue called Ikuyama House.
Margaret told us that there are many, many temples in this town, and it sounds like people are going from venue to venue, like going to other temples, from one temple venue to another temple venue.
So this is the blue wall is the Ikuyama house, and the viewers at the 鑑賞者がまずここで受付をして、で、この展覧会には地図がなくて、で、他の会場に行くときは、そのメディエーターっていう案内役が、この椅子を、頼りに道案内をするっていう動線になっています。
So this picture is the main venue, Ikuyama House, and first the visitors come here, and there are no maps for this whole exhibition, but there are 5 different houses, and there are people called mediators, and they are sat in each venues, and the visitors come and they must find these chairs and the mediators to go to the next venue.
じゃあ、シュウさんから、このあたりの ご説明を。
ああ、そうですね。街の中にたくさん椅子を置いていて、すべてデザインしたものではなくて、街にあったものとか、もらい物とか、中古屋で買ったものとかで、よく道に椅子が置いてあっておじいちゃんが座ってたりするんですけど、そんな感じで椅子をたくさん置いて、それを目印にしています。
So they're using all these chairs so people can notice the venues, and all these chairs were just found randomly, or they bought some at the secondhand shops, and they just wanted to place all these chairs around the town. As you can see, all these chairs.
Ah,
Yeah, can you see all the chairs that are
yeah.
in the houses? Yeah.
Could I ask a question, which is why was there no map? Was that intentional for some reason, or is there some sort of a point in that?
なぜ地図を作らなかったっていうその意図はあるんですか？
区川をやっぱりさまよい歩く体験っていうのが、この展覧会の体験としていいなと思っていて、で、各会場をギャラリーを巡るんではなくて、街を歩きながら空き家にこっそり入り込んで、で、そこに作品と出会うっていう体験がいいと思ったからですね。
Yes, they didn't make a map intentionally because they wanted to have the visitors come to the town and to wander around, not go to like a gallery to a gallery, but wandering around town and then suddenly finding a vacant house and just opening the door and kind of going into the vacant houses and to see all these artists' projects.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. So this is a very formidable intervention in the everyday life of these citizens in the town. Yeah. What do we see now here? What are we looking at here? This work.
This is 中森茜さんでは一緒にキュレーションしてアーティストで作品も出している方で、なんかアパートに苔をアパートの中で苔を育てていました。
This is one of the projects done by Akane Nakamori, and she is one of the curator of this exhibition. And she made a whole, she planted some plants and moss in the house. And it was actually taken from the garden, from the yard that you just saw. And
wow.
yes, all indoor now.
And what are these little benches around the edge? Can you walk on that or?
Yes, you can walk around.
この部屋って人が亡くなっていて、でその人が最後に恋人に見取られたが迎えに行って、そのストーリーからインスピレーションを受けて、その恋人たちが亡くなった後、これ苔のベッドになってるんですけど、植物になって最後はその庭の穴の中に帰るっていうイメージがここに具現化されてます。
So in this room, actually, a person passed away in this room, and Akane Nakamori, the artist, she got the idea from the person who lived there and the lover, the partner, and she got the idea of well, actually, it's called Me and You Last first day. And the theme of this piece is based on the last conversation between the lovers who would have spent time in this apartment. And so at the end, the bedding of the moss in the room is kind of like the two of them renounce their physical bodies to be plants again, a form, and to go back to soul, like soil.
So beautiful. So strong. Right? Were the doors removed before the installation, or did she remove the doors intentionally?
すべてのドアはもう全部外されたのは、茜さん自身が外したんですよね。
Also, the architecture installer, Shu-san, also the other installer, Yoriyasu-san, they thinking together, I think, なんか英語で言っちゃった。
いいと思います。
みんなで、多分、so that was for this exhibition, I invite to installer, Shu-san, also the other guy, Bruno, he also their architecture. So it's important to idea of architecture for this exhibition, because we use abandoned house. So normally artist conversation with them.
Wow.
Mm.
Thank you very much. It's very touching. The body is like the house. Also, the house is like the body. And so this idea of leaving the body and being part of the universe is like this. It's very, very subtle.
I think the void is almost as evocative as the moss itself. But it sort of reminds me of the World Trade Center Memorial, which are two huge voids.
Wow. Yeah. And Gordon Matta Clark a little bit too, Ron.
Beautiful piece, very beautiful piece.
Beautiful. Oh.
Wait,
勝手に
this
映っちゃってる
this is actually my works, but this is normally participant join this works. It's called Stitch Your Line. Line means our lives, our life. It's a metaphor of our life, and we stitching the line, and we talk or hearing or thinking about our life, how 自分の人生をラインに例えて、そこでなんか何が起こったとか、重要な選択だったとか、何歳の時何があったとか、そういうことを話したり考えたりする参加型のものです。
Yeah, so people can come and just sit down and start stitching and sewing. And while we are stitching and sewing, we can talk about like your lives. And the stitch itself, it's representing it's like a metaphor of your life. And like people will talk about like when I was blah blah blah, like when I was young, I did that, and just experiencing. Actually, I just stopped by yesterday and with my daughter, and we just sat down and started stitching and just talking, and it was a very, very interesting atmosphere.
This is so exciting, honestly. It's really very special, monumental in a kind of a underground way.
Is the local community participating?
And responding.
Is the local
Mute.
community participating? I can't.
Can you hear Emily?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, sometimes, yes. And also this exhibition can many local people living in this area. Sorry?
So how did Margaret's work, how was Margaret's work received in this exhibition? How did people react to it?
マ
え、
ーガレットがシェアした方がいい。
うん
あ、ごめんなさい。なんて。
マーガレットの、マーガレット
Yeah.
Maybe it's your time.
Yeah, you want me to introduce my work now?
Okay.
He was
Okay.
just asking like how
Yeah.
the
Okay.
Japanese participants respond to your work.
Yeah.
いや、そうですね。なんか、マーガレットの作品は、さっきのお向かいの家の仏間で、大きな仏間で、行っています。で、それはなんか多分他の国でこれまでやってきたよりも、もっとなんか神聖ですごく、儀式的なものになっているんじゃないかなというふうに感じています。
Sae just mentioned that Margaret's work was done in a very special kind of a big room. And in Margaret's previous salon, I think it's very different, and it was more maybe like a ritual kind of experience for the participants.
Because it is a Buddhist room. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe this helps to show the image or go ahead, Sae. What did you want to say?
Yeah. そうですね。
マーガレットさんに言っていただいた方が。
いいかな。でも、フィードバックみたいな感じ
はい。
が聞きたいっていう感じですよね。
そうですね。
Why? It's screaming.
It's black over the image.
Yes, it is. It's interesting, perhaps, if people other than Margaret, not Margaret, but that you guys who were there, tell us what happened. What people who are watching, from YouTube and Facebook, and people who don't know the project, what was Margaret's work? Somebody please tell us, and then maybe Margaret can talk after.
なんか皆さんやってみて。
日本での皆さんのそのマーガレットの作品は一体どういうものだったのかっていうのを単純に聞きたいみたいなんですけれども、なんかありますかね。
なんか体験された感想みたいなのありますか？かがりさんとか。
私ですか？Yeah, actually, I participated in Margaret's Salon d'Amour as I think it was actually a rehearsal, but it was a very, very interesting experience, and I helped her out a couple of times, and after the performance, we had a chance to talk with the participants, and they all had very interesting feedbacks, and especially I think the word was extraordinary, and it was like they were experience a whole different world was the most common the most common opinion about her work.
なんか佐藤さんはなんかこの声がリフレクションされるみたいなことをなんか言ってて面白かったんですけど、なんか
そうです。
もう一回言ってあげて。
環境を飛び交う言葉とか、隣の人と同じ詩を、ペアの人が話してたり、なんか、そういう、なんだろうな、普段は多分、一つのことに注目して音を聞いてるんだけれども、その背景でいろんな言葉がこう積み合わさって、なんかこっちの人が言った言葉とあっちの人が言った言葉がこう連動したりして、すごく視聴体験として面白かったのと、そうですね。そうですね。いろいろありますけど。
He said it was very interesting because usually when you're, usually you just focus on one thing, but in this performance, while he was listening, he could hear his partner reading a poem and another person in the back reading maybe the same poem, and it was very interesting because he could like listen to many voices, and it became like a layer of voices, and it was very interesting.
Well, Margaret, how was it different? What was distinct difference about this location and this community engaged in your work this time?
So first of all, I didn't realize what it means to develop a participative performance in a cultural context that is not mine. And that is related to social codes. So, my performance, of course, is all about inviting the public to participate, and I am creating a choreography that allows within that choreography is like a skeleton, to allow for participants to take their own position and also interpret the work in their own way. Kagari, yeah?
Please, what happens? People walk in, some people rehearsed beforehand. There are these hoods or masks. Please describe.
Okay, so in this photograph, you see that people are walking into the building, the participants. This was taken during the rehearsal, so everyone is dressed in black. It's not, this time I didn't work with a dress code. This was for the filming. Maybe I can go ahead and show a few more images. And then they go into the first room where they are welcomed, and I give a short introduction. And then they go into the second room. They get handed a kimono, half of the people. Then the kimono wearers walk into the next room, which is the main room where the performance takes place. And then I put a mask over them and I invite them to sit down. When all the mask wearers are seated, the readers join one by one, go into the main room, and they are handed one of those manuscripts that you see here. That includes a curated selection of love letters, excerpts from novels, and poems.
How do you choose the content of these letters and writing?
That's a very long process, but if I wanted to describe it shortly, I'm trying to create a tension between beauty and fear, I would say, if I would really summarize it quickly. Beauty and distress, yeah. So some of the poems and texts are very, poetic and beautiful. For instance, I included love letters that John Cage wrote to Merce Cunningham. And then there's also some texts that are not romantic at all. Actually, they are about, for instance, James Baldwin's Another Country, an excerpt from his book, talks about a young man who is trying to find love, but he doesn't know how because he was not loved. Well, it's related to the family and related to the broader social context, of course, of the reality of a Black American. And so in the end, after trying to find love in many places, he is completely lost and he jumps from George Washington Bridge. So there are sometimes very dramatic moments. And so you imagine that the people in the room, they are all reading at the same time, but they're all reading something different. So these poems and love letters and excerpts from novels all kind of meld together. So you have, let's say, sceneries that are dramatic, and then you have a beautiful love letter that mixes with that dramatic scenery. So what I'm trying to create here is almost like an underground, like mushrooms growing underground. What is it called? Like a rhizome, a rhizome that develops through the text, but also, of course, through the emotions of the people that are participating.
Yeah. So again, there are it's couples, right? Two people, 3 different couples, 4 couples, whatever it is. And one person is unmasked and they're reading, and the other person is masked and they're receiving or listening.
Exactly.
Yeah. And as your colleagues described it, this atmosphere is very interesting to hear different voices in the space. Is the person masked? Do they see out of the mask or not?
Yes, they do. It's like half translucent. So I'm very interested in mystery. In this, it's the same as in relations, like human relations or any kind of relations, really, where you are trying to understand the other, and you cannot understand. There is like there is a hindrance. No, what do you call this? There's like a blockage or something. Very often, that we don't understand each other, or we don't understand the things around us. So this is why I'm creating kind of like a cocoon for the wearer, and the wearer can see out, but it's closed off enough that it creates kind of like a safe bubble. And for the reader can, in some of the masks, can kind of see the face, but not really. You can see that there is a face under. So for the reader to read to a mask wearer, it's very special because you don't see the expression of the face.
Do they meet each other before or after?
Did you hear the question?
Yes, they meet briefly. So before they enter the first room, they are all meeting as a group. So sometimes people know each other, but sometimes they don't. Like yesterday, there was one participant who didn't know anybody. And that, of course, influences also how he feels in the group. But then after the performance, we always, when everybody's taking off their masks and kimonos, we all gather in the room and they are sharing their experience. And so this is also the moment for that person, for instance, yesterday, the person that was alone or didn't know anybody, to, to get to know the others.
Well, so what's next? Everybody in the group, the artists, you all live there in the town, or you're from outside the town? What happens after the exhibition?
John, maybe do we want to continue a little bit with, I mean, is this now finished, the Salon d'Amour, or?
No, keep going, of course, whatever.
Because maybe that's a question, like what happens after, maybe that's a question that we can ask after I show a few more images, or not?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Show more.
Yeah, so this is a short video excerpt. Actually, Sae is here on the right, and Arisa, who is also involved in the project as assistant curator.
木に火はない。歯に飾られた木はどこでも生きる。君のためにひどく寂しくなったよ。
Do you hear the sound? Did you hear it? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you hear the voices, and you also hear a soundscape. So the voices are part of the soundscape. The soundscape is by composer Robert Voss.
Can I ask you a question, Margaret?
Yeah.
It seems like before you went to Japan, it seemed that you had a kind of a very productive time creating new masks. What do you attribute that kind of productivity to? Was that in some anticipation or intuitive sort of feeling about going to Japan, to this particular place?
Yeah, so there was a number of reasons. So for one, I was told that there will be 17 performances, and so it was planned that that there would be 2 performances a day. So although the group of participants is quite small, it's 8 participants for each performance, I was concerned about participants wearing the same mask. I didn't think that there was such a good idea, you know, that somebody's wearing the mask and then right after somebody else is wearing it. So that's one reason why I had to make a lot of masks. The other thing is that I knew that when I would come to Japan, it would still be quite warm. So I had to make masks that are give enough space, you know, that are not too close to the face. So these masks that you see here, like here on the right, are very different from the masks that I used in Europe. But there's another reason for this shape, actually, because having been in Japan a few times, I got very fascinated or interested in this concept of what they call ma. So the distance between the body and in this case, the mask or the outer shell, let's say. But ma also, this is very interesting, plays a role in how it's also the distance between people. And this is sometimes I felt it made me a little bit nervous to see that people are not sitting close enough together, because I was concerned that the mask wearer wouldn't understand the reader. But then again, I was reminded that this, the distance between is related to how people in Japan relate to each other physically, you know. Kagari, maybe do you want to explain something about that?
She's muted. Unmute, Kagari. Unmute.
Yes,
Thank you.
sorry. Yes, about Japanese people.
Yeah, and the space in between, because we were talking about that yesterday also during
Yes.
yesterday.
So I think Japanese people compared to other foreign countries, we have a very we have distance between people and people. We think it is important to keep distance, a certain distance between people. So actually yesterday there were some participants and we asked them to sit closer. They were complete strangers, and I think Margaret was very concerned because she was worried that Japanese people might feel a little uncomfortable sitting very near someone like a stranger. But when she asked the question to one of the participants, he said that I think this is very general in Japan that when Japanese people are told to do something, they would do it like naturally. It's just that and it won't really offend them or anything. It's just that they're kind of more like waiting for people to to address them to do something, kind of a very general Japanese kind of thing.
Yeah,
Well-
so sorry, John, what Kagari is just saying is super interesting, and that's what I meant, that it was actually quite challenging, but in a good way, to do the performance here, because normally like in Europe, in the performance, I give a lot of freedom to participants in the sense that I will tell them that they choose their own mask, they choose their own place to sit down, and they will also actually quite automatically choose the distance. So if they feel that they don't hear the reader well enough, they will go closer. But this is not the way it works here. So in the beginning, I really needed also advice from Sae, from Akane, from Kagari, from people around here, to explain to me how explain something about social codes, how this works, like this step by step, as we go into the performance and we go from room to room. This is like a very different way of thinking about space and time. John, I interrupted you. Did you want to
Just
ask
a
something?
question, maybe for the curators and other artists. Like in the 60s and 70s, there was real interactive participatory work, like happenings and things like that, where people were really close together, at least in the Western cultural avant-garde. What about in Japan? How did that idea of personal space sort of appear in those art forms?
1960年代、70年代にこういう参加型とか、かなり親密な感じの、ごめんなさい、アバンギャルドな感じの、作品とかがすごく多かったんですけれども、日本人としてのこの人間とのこの距離感っていうか、に関しては、どう映ったのかっていうことを聞いてるんですけれども。
なんか佐藤さん、あります人間の距離感。
僕も体験したんですけど、
そうですよね。
マスクを違う。まずテキストを声に読み上げる、人前で声に読み上げるのが、基本的に恥ずかしいイメージがあってで、それを相手に読むとなると、しかも知らない人だと、よりなんか抵抗感があるんですけど、暗い空間で、マスクをしていて、で、 声に読み上げるっていうので、結構そのあたりの抵抗感がなかったんですけど、で、そのことで、なんか、あの、なんだろう。誰かに当てたテキストじゃないですか。
うん
で、それが声に出して、マスクをかぶってる人に対して言うことによって、テキストの内容がすごくフィジカルに入ってきて、それはすごく新鮮だったんですよね。それはなんかその恥ずかしさみたいなのが、丁寧にこう、美しく、なんか除去されていったから、僕はなんかテキストの内容がめちゃくちゃ入ってきたんですけど。
So Shu-san just said that he experienced Salon d'Amour, and at first, just reading aloud, like reading a poem aloud, was very embarrassing. He had this very embarrassing feeling, and especially reading the text, reading the poems and the short stories that was not written by himself, of course, written by others. He thought he had this very rejecting feeling at the beginning, and but after reading it to the person who was wearing a mask, he felt kind of like the embarrassment going away, and he felt a little bit more comfortable, and it was kind of like blending into the whole atmosphere.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Is it difficult to talk about these sorts of personal experiences? Is it not common to talk from the heart or from, emotion?
なんかこう、自分の、もう心の底から物事を、こう、人前で話すっていうことってすごく抵抗感はやっぱりあるのでしょうか？
初めて会う人にはわかんないけど、僕は抵抗感ありますね。
Yeah, he does have this kind of like a feeling of rejection. It's very difficult, especially when it's someone that you've never met before.
Well, it's very courageous. And, we appreciate very much that you guys are being so, direct and honest and unself-conscious. It's really exciting to have this experience together tonight. Margaret,
Maybe she can translate.
yeah. Oh, thank you. Translate, please. Yeah.
皆さんの、真のこの、意見だとか、そういうことがここの場でシェアできたのがすごく素晴らしくて、あと、とても感謝しておりますということで。
In this country, psychiatrists make a lot of money because people tell them everything.
アメリカでは、セラピストとかそういう精神科医っていうのがすごく、かなりお金持ちなのは、皆さんは本当に、いろんなことをベラベラベラベラ喋るからだと思うっていうことを言ってます。
So in Japan, then the psychiatrist goes broke.
Oh, yes. 日本ではあんまりそういう精神科医とかセラピストはお金儲けができないんじゃないかっていうことになってます。
できないですね。
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So artists like psychiatrist in Kanazawa.
金沢ではアーティストが皆さんの精神科医みたいなになってるんじゃないですかって。
Also going broke.
あ、なかなか難しいですね。
でも実際に僕らが地域に入ってきて、要は外部の人間じゃないですか。で、外部の人間だから、地域の人は本音を話してくれるというか、その近い者同士だと言いにくいこともあるんですけど、
Yeah,
外
so
から来た人だからみたいな。
he's saying that Japanese people tend not to talk about their personal things, especially when they have like a very close relationship. So on the other hand, like the everybody, all the artists, they actually come from the outside of the town, and they're gathering there. So the local people comes up to them and talk really like their true feelings and their opinions because they do have a bit of a distance.
Wow. That's really, really exciting to hear these things. Thank you.
ですごく興味深いみたいです、こういう関係が。
You guys want to just talk, Margaret, it's up to you what to do. Maybe you guys want to just chat with each other. It's just a very warm feeling of community and camaraderie, partnership with all of you.
Yeah, maybe I just like to really say thank you again to all the people here who have all Sae, Kagari, Sato-san, and Shu, who have been involved in the performance, but also of course involved in the larger project. And this is now we get a brief impression of some of the works, but what's also very special is that the people on Saturday, Sunday, and Mondays, the people from the community come here and they gather downstairs in a cafe. So there's a lot of exchange going on. Also between yesterday, there was a well-known artist visiting and talking with some of the younger participating artists. So there's also this kind of, artist exchange going on. Kagari, you want to translate?
この、みんな参加していただいた方ももちろんなんですけれども、その、昨日、有名な方が来られてたんですか、誰か。誰かご存知ですかね。
そうです。宮島達夫宮島 is one of the famous Japanese artists in the world, I think, and he came to our exhibition and we talk a lot. Yeah.
そういういろんな他の外部からの参加もあって、とてもいいコミュニティっていうことをマーガレットがおっしゃってます。
Yeah, so I find this is very, very interesting. You have a very large and very well-known, famous Museum of Contemporary Art very close by here. It's like 15 minutes walking distance, and it's always incredibly crowded. And then in this area, where this is kind of let's say an underground project in a way, right? But so many people come here, people from the neighborhood, but also people from outside, and like this artist that Sae mentioned, coming from close to Tokyo, and more people, coming from Tokyo, for instance. So
example, how far is Tokyo? Just example.
It's about 2.5 hours by bullet train.
Oh, wow. Long way. Yeah. I want to say also hello to Victoria Vesna, who just joined us. And our next tuning fork with Victoria is coming up on November 8th. And I just briefly explain a little bit that Victoria's working at UCLA as art science professor. And she's working with a scientist who's created plasma, like, the sun, right? The sun is made of plasma. And this scientist made a machine that blasts out plasma. And so Victoria's working with sunflower seeds and this plasma to see the interactivity. And I'm just such a, how can I say? I don't understand exactly what it's all about technically, but just to invite you all, and we know that you guys have to go to work now. So should we say goodbye for now, or how to do, Margret?
Yeah, it's I mean, maybe if somebody still wants to add something, maybe Shu or Sai, you want to add, you want to share more about this
I think
project here?
Sae has to leave now.
Sai, yeah.
Thank you so much, Sae. Thank you. Thank you. Please bring our happiness into your day with you. He's gone?
I think she's gone.
She's
Okay.
gone. Okay. All right.
So for us, by the way, there's Victoria, Ron Rocco, Margret, Emily, and me. That's the board of directors of our institute. We're here together for the first time in one Zoom. So thank you for letting us be part of your day, you guys in Japan. And we want to stay in touch with you. Is there something coming up? Is there a book, a plan, a catalog, a video, Facebook page, anything that we can do to tell people more about your project?
シュウさん、今後このプロジェクトに関しての何かまだ続くことってありますか？例えば、なんか出版物だったり、ビデオだったりっていう感じの。
一応、そうですね。最後展覧会の本を作ろうとはしています。はい。できたらまたお知らせします。
They are thinking of making a booklet about this exhibition. So when they will let you know when it's finished.
Thank you. And this video from our meeting will be on our website during the next week, maybe when we'll try to get that together before the end of this week, so you can share with your friends and colleagues. And one more time, congratulations and very strong thank you.
今日の模様のこのレコーディングがまた1週間以内ぐらいにアップされると思うので、またいろんな方に見ていただけるようにシェアしていただきたいということと、あと本当にとても強く感謝を申し上げています。
Ron Rocco is also exhibiting in China right now, so you can find him on Facebook. Ron Rocco, you see his name there?
この名前のロッコさんは今中国で展覧会をしてますので、またFacebook をチェックしてください。
And you see Victoria Vesna, also please follow her.
あと
And we want to stay in touch with you. Hank is also there. Hank Linhart, friend of Ron's and old timer from Ithaca, New York, living nearby Emily and I in the Catskill Mountains. So thank you so much. And thank you also for telling us about the Buddhist aspect. Very interesting. We didn't expect to hear that tonight. Not so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
今日の内
Thank
容
you,
が
John and Emily. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry,
Kagari,
yes.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kagari.
今日のお話がとても興味深くって、やっぱり仏教に関してのことは聞けると思わなかったのですごく良かったと思いますということです。
Yeah, thank you, John and Emily, for initiating this tuning fork.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it happened very quickly, and that's part of the underground monument coming from Kanazawa. underground Zoom. November 8th with Victoria Vesna. Scientists and artists around the world will be part of this conference. So it may be exciting for you all to participate in that. And I think that Margret will help us to let you know. Yes, Margret?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Thank you.
for
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah.
Well, have a wonderful day, everybody. New York, California, China, Japan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Okay,
Thank
guys.
you.
Have a
Thank
nice
you.
time.
Thank
Bye.
you.
See
John,
you.
Emily, talk to you soon.
See you.
Stay tuned. Thank you.
Stay tuned.